So, welcome to the next episode of Dark Side of the Kitchen. And this time, this particular episode is going to be called Second Plate Syndrome: Why Success Can Ruin a Chef. Now, before I get into it, I am going to temper the whole thing with I'm going to use some examples throughout this, and they're very high profile chefs. Um, Very unfortunate what happened to them. But I've seen it happen to a lot of chefs. And success is a personal thing. So I was never in my life going to win 3 Michelin stars, but I did win things like Restaurant of the Year, Chef of the Year. So to me, their level of success, a massive level of success for me personally. And there's plenty of other chefs out there who've won far more than I've won and far bigger awards than I've won. And they don't find themselves successful. And as I said, success is a very personal thing of what you consider success. And this is very much based on success at work, not family life. So what I'm talking about here is the examples I use and the ones I'm going to use are because they're well known of what happened. But I think it happens at every level, from us ordinary chefs. We win a couple of awards. It's a level of success for us. And I think the same thing can happen, but you won't get the same coverage in media about it, for obvious reasons. We don't have that name that some of these guys do. So that has a lot to do with it. And yeah, it's just something that came up recently in a conversation I was having, and I just thought I'd follow through with it. So anyway, the first plate wins you glory. Second plate can destroy you. In this industry, success isn't freedom, it's a prison. Once you've proved yourself, the world doesn't want the same brilliance. It demands more, better, perfect, again and again. And the pressure has broken some of the greatest chefs alive, and some of them didn't survive. The curse of success. Ask any chef who's been touched by success. A star, a review, a headline. It feels like a peak, like you finally made it. But that's the trick of it. Because the higher you climb, the sharper the fall. Marco Pierre White, the infant Tarabel, the youngest chef ever to win 3 Michelin stars. He was a god in whites, and yet he walked away. And I remember getting white heat. I think a lot of us do. It was wow. It was different level. He defined a generation. I'm glad, still with us. But he walked away at the peak of his powers. Within the chefing industry, in that particular era, whether it's still the same or not, you'd have to ask younger chefs tonight. He had a godlike status. I mean, he was everything you wanted to be. I mean, he was the original bad boy. He was a punk rocker and a chef rolled into one. He was nuts. He just shot off the cuff. He threw people out of his restaurant. As chefs, we adored him and his food. I remember going through White Heat and just being blown away, But he walked away. And you know what he said? He said the pressure stole the joy of cooking from him. This is Marco Pierre White. The pressure stole the joy of cooking from him. One of the greatest that's ever lived, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of chefs out there now. I watch the Netflix programs on them. I have their books. I think they're amazing. He was a level above. The craft that made him destroyed him. He handed back the stars. He gave up the prize that every young chef bleeds for, that he chased. That's not freedom, that's collapse. When success turns deadly. But some don't walk away like him, they can't. Bernard Voltaire, Switzerland, chef of the restaurant Hotel de Ville, crowned the world's best chef. Kind of title we couldn't even dream of. If I dreamed of winning that title, I wake up and slap myself. It's the kind of title most of us wouldn't even dare to dream about. And yet, the peak of his fame, 44, world's best chef, he took his own life. 44. Wow. Bernard Lassault, another legend of French cuisine. For years, he carried the weight of the stars, the reviewers, the investors, breathing down his back. The fear of even losing one star consumed him. He died by his own hands. I remember when that story broke. It was like, what? But these aren't your chefs. They're warning signs. Proof that the second plate, the one after you've already won, can crush even the strongest. These are chefs that were amazing, you know? The myth of the star, the worship of Michelin, the awards, the top lists, we think they're a prize. But inside them kitchens, are they a noose? Gordon Ramsay, love him or hate him, whatever side of the fence you're on, it makes no difference to me. He said it himself, chasing stars broke him. Depression, breakdown. The reviews and the ratings didn't feed him. They ate him alive. Claire Smith, first female British chef with 3 Michelin stars. I'm reading that off of a thing here because I just pulled the bio so I could read it right. Wife's female written down there. She's a chef with 3 Michelin stars. You know, she spoke of the isolation, the loneliness, the unbearable pressure of being expected to deliver perfection every single night. Because once you've proven that you're the best, every plate after that is a test that you're expected to pass without fail. And that's a disease in the industry. You don't celebrate your victories, you defend them until there's nothing left in you but fear. And I think this goes back to, and I've said it before in previous podcasts, this is the only industry where you are judged all the time by everybody to a personal level, from review sites and all of this, that no other industry, no other job has. And I have seen too many chefs take their lives. I've seen too many guys, whether it was by overdose, whether it was by their own hand in another way. I have seen friends just not able to handle it. When I say at the top, I mean at the top of their kitchen, being head chef and that stuff, and they can't handle it. But anything to step back is seen as failure. That's why, again, as I said before in the previous podcast, it's not on the YouTube now, it's only on Spotify. You have to go back a bit. Chefs leave the industry for a multitude of reasons. There is no quick fix. There is no one answer, because there's no one answer to why people leave. And I was having a conversation this morning with 2 people who are not in the industry, never were, and they went on about the hours and blah, 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 usual. The reality behind it is very few chefs leave the industry. You might leave a particular job because of the hours. You don't leave the industry over the hours because you knew it getting in. You knew it all the ways up. It didn't come as a surprise when you hit 40. Oh, Jesus, the hours are long. You know, that's not a surprise to you at that age. I do think as you get older, and I found it myself, particularly this year, you have to start realizing that you're getting older and manage better. And I haven't, and I brought this up before. I've struggled a bit this year with the hours, the relentlessness of it at times, because I wasn't giving myself enough proper downtime, enough recovery time, enough. And as you get older, I ain't 30 anymore, you know. I'm closer to the 51 than I am the 50. And I can still sling it with the best of them, but maybe not for as many hours as over as many days in a row. But I will give it my best shot every bloody time. And as I said, I think, this is one more facet as to why chefs leave the industry. They get to a point with the pressure, the stress, and they just go, I've had enough. And I understand that. I really do get that one. Probably more now than I've ever got in my life. There's a lot of bravo when you're younger in a kitchen, a lot of Billy Big Balls. I'll do more hours over more days than you, for a longer period of time. Trust me, the older boys kick your ass all day, every day. We just need time off afterwards to get over it. The second plate syndrome. It's what I call the second plate syndrome. You know what I mean? The first plate wins you recognition. The second plate has to prove that it wasn't luck. The third plate is to prove you're consistent. By the 10th plate, you're not cooking anymore. You're performing chained to your own reputation. I've seen chefs crying in dry stores after service. I've seen broken plates smashed, not because the food was bad, because the chef thought it wasn't good enough. Because success raises the bar so high, you can't even reach it yourself anymore. And that is the tragedy. And the tragedy is nobody talks about it. They tell you about the awards, about the glossy menus, but behind the pass, it's blood, pills, alcohol, and silence. I'm lucky enough. Don't have an addiction to. I don't touch any drugs. I'm very anti-drugs. I do drink. Not. I couldn't tell you. It's been a while since I had a drink. It's not that. Not for any particular reason. It's just I'm not that. I'm not a regular drinker. But guys, when I go at it, I do get it fierce hard. But if you get that, you're Irish. I have spilled blood behind the pass more times than I could remember. Me and every other chef has sustained injuries that would have put most people into hospital immediately, and we finished our shifts. I'm not saying that's a good thing, by the way. I once slipped inside in the kitchen and dislocated my shoulder and finished my shift before going to hospital. Lunacy, yeah. Legacy. The ghost of greatness. What's worse than winning your own glory is inheriting somebody else's? Look at the legendary, greatest of them all, Paul Bocuse. His successors were carrying the weight of a god. The people who would have been the same people in the kitchen when that man passed away. Yeah. So they're trying to cook in the shadow of immortality. They're carrying the weight of a god. That's the heaviest second plate of all time, living or dead. How do you do that? I don't know. And fair play to the ones that tried, because, wow, I've worked with chefs that couldn't breathe under the shadow of their mentor's name. I've worked with some great chefs. And I'd hate to be in their shadow, There's guys out there who were crushed not by failure, but by the demand never to fail. The kitchen as a trap. Success makes the kitchen a trap. Investors pile in, expecting pile up. Your name becomes a brand, and then suddenly you're not a chef anymore. You're a hostage to your own image, and you have to look at even the culture now of this cancel culture. If you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, I'll never be famous enough for it to happen to me, but it does happen to people all of the time. Because you're not allowed to have your own opinion if it goes against the woke agenda or the leftist or right. I don't even fucking know who's who anymore, to be honest about it. Chefs live in a bubble. We don't fucking care. But line cooks will still look at you as a leader, as a mentor. The critics want to carve you alive. And the guests, they just want to say they ate at your place. They don't care about the cost, but you do, and it's killing you. The collapse. We don't talk enough about the bodies in this industry, the broken minds, the suicide, the stars that burn too hot. The ones I have just mentioned, and countless more whose names will never make a paper. Their obituaries read like cautionary tales, but a machine just keeps on grinding. Another star, another award, another poor bastard carrying the weight of glory. And every night somewhere is a chef plating their second plate, and that's the one that could cost them everything. The truth, the industry loves to tell the story of the rise, the young chef who makes it, the restaurant that wins. It doesn't tell you the rest. It doesn't tell you that success is sometimes the beginning of the end. The second plate is often heavier than the first. And that we don't start speaking the truth. If we don't start speaking the truth out loud, then more chefs, more brothers, more sisters of this brigade will be lost to silence. And that's the one thing I think, how do I put this? We're all part of one massive brigade, and we should all have each other's backs, and we should all be helping each other and not putting a knife in the back of each other. This is the dark side of the kitchen, and this is what success really costs. Let's keep changing the world, one plate at a time.